maker. This is Claire from E'Claire Makery, and today I am going to be showing you how to make my Falling Leaves Autumn Tapestry Crochet Beanie. This is a fun beginner tapestry crochet hat project, and I am really excited to say that this video is sponsored by Clover. You may know them for their amazing Amore hooks, which they sent me some and I absolutely love them. They're ergonomic crochet hooks that have a plastic head and a lightweight handle to make it really easy to crochet your projects without having any wrist or arm pain, and I absolutely love them. They also sent me their pom-pom maker, which has 4 different sizes of pom-poms that you can make with yarn. And this is one of the tools that we will be using today in our video for how to make this beanie. So to make this beanie, you'll need the Clover pom-pom maker or other pom-pom maker that you have. You will need a size K 6.5mm crochet hook. Here I have Clover's Amore hook in a 6.5mm size, and then you will need 2 contrasting colors of worsted weight yarn. I am using Lion Brand Heartland in this beautiful rust color and a forest green. So you need 2 contrasting worsted weight colors because this is a tapestry crochet project that is going to have a leaf pattern on the top of the hat, on the main part of it. And so you want to make sure that the leaves, which will be made in this color, can stand out against the background, which is the green. So to begin our project, we're going to go ahead and set some of this stuff aside. And we are going to start with using the Heartland yarn and our crochet hook. So go ahead and take that yarn band off of there, and then we're going to unwind this a bit. And the first part in making this beanie is to start with the rim of the hat. So I am making a double crochet ribbing with this pattern, and it creates a really stretchy brim on your beanie so that it can really easily fit your head and fit really nice and snugly. So I have made a slip knot, and we're going to go ahead and start the brim with 6 double crochets. So in order to do that, we will start with 8 chain stitches, 6, 7, 8, and then we are going to skip to the 3rd chain from the hook and insert our hook and do our 6 double crochets across this strand of chain stitches. Just keep going like this all the way down. And how you make this ribbing is we are going to be crocheting in the back loops and the front loops, alternating between the 2 of them. So here we've got our 6 double crochets to start off the bottom of our hat, and then we're going to chain 2 and turn, and then we are going to start crocheting in the back loop, which is the loop farthest from you. So we are going to go ahead and insert our hook like this and just do a normal double crochet, but instead of going through both loops like you normally do when you start your stitch, you are going to insert your hook for the first time in just the back loop. And this helps create part of the fabric to be forward and the other part to be backward, so that it creates that look of ribbing that you get in knitting with using the stockinette stitch or other stitches that they use in knitting. So we've got this right here. So there's our first loop with the back loops only, and you can see it kind of folds over like this because it is separated from that first part and is more towards the back, which creates that kind of 3D look. So then on this next row, we're going to go through the front loops only. So the loop closest to you. And you'll still do your double crochet the exact same way. You're just putting it in you're just starting your hook in that front loop instead of the back loop like you did before. And so we'll just keep going down our row like this until we get our 6 stitches. Let's do this last one. Okay, and then now that we've got these, we're going to go back to doing a back loop row. So when you're making this ribbing, you are going to alternate between doing it in the front loops and the back loops only, depending on what row you're on. So every other row will be back loops and every other row will be front loops. Whichever one's not a back loop row will be a front loop row. So you just keep doing this until the amount that is stated for your size of the pattern, and then you will have a nice stretchy brim on your beanie. So just keep going like this, and then do next loop is front loops, and the one after that is back loops, and so on and so forth till you get your ribbing all the way done. Once you have finished with crocheting your ribbing, you'll have this nice long strand that has this textured look of the effect of ribbing for the brim of your beanie. So I am doing a size small, so I did 31 rows, which is equivalent to 20 inches, which is a standard size of an adult size small hat. So depending on what your size is, you'll just do the amount of rows that it calls for. And then once you get those amount of rows, then it's time to join these so that we can crochet in the round for the rest of the hat. So to join these rows together, you want to make sure that you have the textured ribbing side facing out, and then you're going to put the end and the beginning together right here, and we are going to just slip stitch those two ends together. So we will line them up like so, and then we're going to insert our hook through this first stitch on the end, and then through the first stitch here on the beginning part, and then we're going to slip stitch through those 2 stitches like that to pull them together, and then repeat this all the way across till you get to the very end of this. So that'll be 6 slip stitches through both ends to join these 2 pieces together, and then your last one here, just like that, and then you'll have this really nice rounded brim, and it looks like you just joined it the whole time. So there you got that. So now it's time to switch colors so that we can start crocheting around this ribbing that we just made. So you'll need your contrasting color to do that, and just unravel some of it, and then you are going to pull the yarn all the way through and then tighten the other yarn that you were just using, and that's going to count as a chain stitch here. And then I'm going to go ahead and do another chain stitch, and then we're going to start crocheting around the top of this ribbing in order to start the first round of this hat. So since I'm doing a size small, I am going to be crocheting 70 stitches all the way around here, and we are doing single crochets so that we can get lots of nice detail with the leaves on this hat. So you will want to space out your single crochet stitches along this ribbing till you get the right amount that you need, and you want to make sure that you space it evenly so that it doesn't look too bunched up in one section versus the next. So I'm going to go ahead and put my first stitch here in one of these top stitches here, and then you just keep going along doing single crochets all the way around this, and you can go ahead and put them in, like do 2 per row. You could just do them in each of the loops on the top. It's really up to you how you want to do your spacing on your hat to get the look that you want, but you just want to make sure that you have the right stitch count at the very end of this round. And so just keep repeating that all the way around through the top of this ribbing till you get the right stitch amount. So once you have completed all of the single crochets that you need to fit around the rim of the beanie, I did 70 here for the size small. Once we get to the end of this row, then we are going to join the end of this row to the beginning with the slip stitch through that chain one that we did at the very beginning of this row. And so before we start doing the color work on this beanie, we are going to do one more row of single crochet. So we will chain one, and then you will do your first single crochet in that first stitch you did in the previous round. Now with this tapestry crochet beanie, we are going to use a technique called Wayu crochet. And Wayu crochet is spelled W-A-Y-U. This is where you do a modified single crochet by crocheting in the back loops, which gives the tapestry crochet design a straighter look, because sometimes what can happen is your tapestry crochet design will start being slanted and the design isn't centered like you'd like it to be. So doing the single crochets through the back loops of the stitches helps it to stay straighter, and it also gives a really cool textured effect to the beanie by giving it the little ridges from the front loops of the stitches that you do. So we will go ahead and we'll start. You just do your normal single crochet, but do it in the back loop of your stitch, and then you're going to just keep going all the way around through the back loops only of this beanie, and go all the way around doing single crochets in each one of the stitches till the very end of your round. So once you have completed that second round of single crochets, you'll notice that you can see the front loops of that first round right here, and it gives it a really cool textured look. So you will now join the last stitch to that chain one in the second round, except that this time when we join the stitches together through this loop right here, instead of using the green yarn like we have been doing, when you complete your single crochet, your slip stitch, you are going to chain using the orange yarn that we started the rim of this beanie with. So if your yarn is out in the front like this, then you are going to trim it, and then you are going to pull it through. So if you're working your beanie and this happens, just trim it. But if you can prevent this, then make sure that when you join, when you start doing this green round, that this yarn is behind the back. So I will go ahead and trim mine and then show you how to start doing the color work on this beanie. Now that I have trimmed this so that I can start using this yarn again, I am going to do my chain one by pulling this yarn through my green loop and then tightening my green yarn so that it ends that spot right there. And so we are going to be using tapestry crochet in order to make this beanie. So that means that we will be carrying our yarn as we do our stitches. So as I have created this beanie, what I've made is a chart that shows the pattern of what will be on the beanie altogether. So the first rows of the color work start in row 2, and it's going to have this border edge along the bottom there. So if you are using my free pattern on my blog, the free pattern is the written version of this chart. And if you prefer to have charts as you do your color work, which I always do, it's available in my inexpensive ad-free PDF. This is the premium upgrade for the pattern, is having the color chart that goes with it. But you can easily follow along with the color changes by just following the written version. So the very first stitch that we're going to do is this one in the bottom, which is the first stitch of the row, and I always have my color charts start from the bottom right, working my way across to the left, back and forth, till I get to the top left. So, since this is in rounds, we are going to always be starting from the right side and going to the left, over like so. So the very first stitch, which now that we have our chain one, we are going to do a single crochet through the back loops only, because we're still doing that wave crochet that I showed you in the last stitch, and then start our single crochet and do 3 single crochets to start this round. And while we do this, we are going to be having the green yarn go on top of our hook like this, and then looping our yarn around it and doing our single crochets around the stitch. So the first colorwork stitches are only 3 at the beginning, and when you get to the third stitch, you are going to, instead of finishing the single crochet with the orange yarn, you're going to switch to the green yarn here, and then you're going to pull it through. And then once we've switched that, then we're going to start carrying the orange yarn through the green stitches as we do single crochets in the back loops only for 4 stitches until we get to the next color change. So on this 4th stitch, we are going to finish the stitch off with the orange yarn. And why we do this is because it helps so that there isn't this weird wonky look of a color change as we're doing our stitches. Instead, we have this really nice smooth transition because we finished the stitch with using this yarn, so it gives it just the complete green stitch there without having any weird orange in the middle of it. Then we're going to do 4 single crochets in the back loops only with the orange yarn, and then you just keep repeating these color changes till you get all the way to the next rows. And then as you keep doing this pattern, you are just gonna be following the color changes that are written in it till you get to the very top of the beanie. And if you've never done tapestry crochet before, I have a really great beginner pattern and beginner tutorial on my blog and here on my YouTube channel that shows you how to do all of the stitches together. So just keep doing this till you get all the way to the very top, and then I will show you how to close off this beanie and make the pom-pom. So once you have finished crocheting your beanie, you'll have this tube that you've created of working in the round like so. So that it's made all in one piece. And with this pattern, instead of doing decreases in order to create the top and close the hat up, we are going to be using a basting stitch to go all the way around and pull it tight. That way you can get the same pattern the way it looks like this and have it get all of the details so that you don't have to factor in any decreases into the tapestry crochet pattern. So before we fasten this off, we are going to want to trim this orange yarn right here, and then we are going to, instead of trimming this green yarn really short, we are going to leave it with a nice long tail so that we can sew it up. And it doesn't need to be too long because we will be pulling it closed, which will leave it longer. And we are going to want to fasten off this last row of the beanie by putting our yarn through the last little loop there and tightening that up. And then we're going to take a yarn needle and we are going to go ahead and thread this and pull that yarn through. And we're not going to knot it because since it's attached to the hat, it's basically already knotted for us. So in order to close this up, we're going to insert our needle through one of these first stitches, go through that loop, and then we are going to come up through one of the next loops. You can go like 2 over and then pull your needle through like this. And then you could also go down and through, then up, then back down again, up, back down again, and up, and then you'll see your needle poking through a couple of these stitches, and then you pull that closed, and then you can tighten it up as you go. So that way you can get more of this basting stitch as you work around this hat. And then you want to make sure that you tighten it as you keep going so that one, you have enough yarn to go all the way around the hat, and two, just so that you can start getting that even tightened look that we are wanting in order to keep this hat closed. So we'll just keep going around like this till you get all the way around to the other side. Once you are done with sewing up the top here, you're going to want to pull your yarn tight so that the top of your hat cinches together, and then we are going to turn it to the inside here, and we are going to fasten off this yarn so that what we just did stays together. Now you're going to notice that there is a little hole right here on the top, and we are going to cover this hole by making a pom-pom. So before we do that, we're going to snip our yarn, weaving a tail for weaving in the ends later. And we're just going to tuck that away in here and then set the finished hat aside. And you'll see, you can still see the leaf pattern all the way around, and it looks super great. I'm really excited with how this turned out. So we are going to get our clover pom-pom maker. Now I chose to use the largest size that they have because I want to make as big of a pom-pom as I can, because I love big pom-poms on hats. So we are going to go ahead, and we have our pom-pom maker like this, and then you will have these two pieces right here that are together. We're just going to open that up just like this so that you have it like this on both sides. Now what we're going to do is we are going to use the orange yarn, which was our accent color, and we are going to take it and we are going to place it like so, and then just start wrapping around these two pieces that are on this side. And we are going to go ahead and just keep wrapping till we have filled up this whole half of the piece completely. And I am going to make mine nice and full so that I have a lot of yarn that is a part of the pom-pom. So just keep doing this till you've filled up this side. So now I have this first side really nice and full with yarn covering the whole piece here. And so the next step is you're going to bring this down right here, and you are going to have your yarn go through this loop right here, through this piece, and then we're going to just bring it over like so and make sure these two pieces are together, and then just repeat the same exact thing we just did but on the other piece. So just wrap it around completely all the way over to this other edge here. So now this other side is wrapped nice and fully, so I'm going to go ahead and then move it over here and put this together like so, and then I am going to go ahead and snip this piece of yarn right here like this. We are going to go ahead and we are going to start snipping along the pieces of yarn here all the way along this piece. And so you want to make sure that you have nice and sharp scissors so that it's really easy to cut down the middle like this. And so you just go all the way down to the other side, like so. I could probably use a little bit sharper scissors than these. These are a little small for this. Okay, so there's one side down. Now we're going to go and do the other side here. So just start snipping this all the way along here. Just keep going. Really got it nice and thick on this side. So just keep going down like this. Okay, so now you have this nice fluff on both sides, and I have cut a nice strand of yarn right here, and what this has done is this has exposed this piece right here. And so we are going to take our yarn, we're going to wrap it around that piece, and then we are going to tie a knot and pull it down, and it tightens it around the pom-pom that is on the inside. And so I am going to go ahead and do a second knot just to make sure that that stays nice and together. And then we are going to start by removing the pom-pom like so. So we're just gonna undo these pieces, just like this. Get that side, and then this other side, and then open it up. And then look at this amazing pom-pom that we have. Wasn't that so easy? I can never get them this beautiful with doing it without a pom-pom maker. So this is perfect for the top of the hat. And it is the perfect size to put on top. So we've got these nice little threads right here, and we can take our yarn needle here, remove that extra thread from before, and thread our needle like this, position this on top of the hat, and then put the needle through to get this thread of yarn down onto the inside of the hat. And you could also use a crochet hook just to pull it down. Since I've got my yarn needle right here, I'm just going to go ahead and just use that. And then I'll use a crochet hook to pull the other thread down into here. So up through there, pull it down through there, through this hole, just like that. And then you can turn it inside out. And then we are going to go ahead and tie a knot, a nice tight knot on here to make sure that this is nice and fastened. So I just went ahead and did 3 knots. And now look at this great pom-pom we've got on top of our hat. It's so cute. And that wraps up our tutorial for how to crochet my Falling Leaves beanie. I am so thankful to Clover for providing me with their amazing hooks and their great pom-pom makers. If you've not checked out these products, be sure to check them out. I absolutely love their Amore hooks and their pom-pom makers. I couldn't have made this hat as well as I did without them. And be sure to check out the free pattern available on my blog, as well as some of my thoughts on their different hooks and the pom maker that they sent me. I can't wait to see all of your amazing hats, and be sure to hit the subscribe button below and like this video so that I can keep making more awesome patterns for you. Have a wonderful day and happy making! Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to like it below if you enjoyed watching it, and hit the subscribe button if you never want to miss out a video from me, and also check out my other videos and tutorials on my channel. See you next time!